It was a small, well, actually not very special island that belonged to Mexico, and it was placed on the maps up until like 1997 when there was an expedition. Because you know what? Oil was found, and US wanted to make sure that this island actually exists to make some boundaries to understand to whom this oil will actually belong. And surprise, surprise, it appears that this island actually don't exist. So what happened to BERMEJA Island? Let's figure that out. Hello my friends, welcome back. This is part 2 of the mysterious islands of the world, phantom islands that disappeared, although they were once on the map and everyone was sure that they exist. If you skipped my previous video, I have 2 phantom islands covered there. So one is the island of Friesland and the other island is High Brazil. Really interesting stories. I hope you watch those. If not, I suggest you watch that. That being said, let's jump in today's story. I know you are already hooked because at the beginning I said some pretty loud things. According to several maps of the Gulf of Mexico dating from the 16th up to the 20th century, the BERMEJA Island is a phantom island that lies on the north coast of Yucatan Peninsula. The maps of that period actually show that there is an island which is like really small, around 80 square kilometers of size. So the existence of island was first mentioned by a man named Alonso de Santa Cruz in a list of islands of the region, and he published this work where he mentions it in 1539. In the year 1540, another man named Alonso de Chavez gave a precise location of this island, and he said that from the distance it looks like reddish blonde, and therefore the island got its name BERMEJA, which in Spanish means bright reddish color. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I think it's BERMEJA. Correct me if I'm wrong and forgive me because this is how I'm going to continue. The existence of an inhabited Mexican island, Isla BERMEJA, around 100 miles away from Yucatan was confirmed by different documents and publications that were made throughout the period of 1864 up to 1946. In 1964, the island was registered in the Ethnographic Charter of Mexico, governmental edition, and also in the book Mexican Islands, published officially by the Secretariat of Public Education. There you can see also the precise coordinates of the island, as you can see it here on the screen. This island was kind of okay staying there up until 1997, when Mexico and the USA started to work on their boundaries within the framework of exclusive economic zone. And things are always quite tricky when you're dividing some like territories. You just have to make sure that things are precise. And here at this moment, BERMEJA Island becomes very important because you see this island is actually the official land point from which Mexico sets its 200 nautical miles economic zone. So everybody just wanted to make sure that the island exists. A naval expedition was made by the Mexican military and they came back with the shocking news. The island had disappeared. It doesn't exist anymore. So the Mexican military tried their best. They were literally looking at the area from all of the sides, but they couldn't find the island. So what they had to do, they had to report to the Mexican Autonomous University that the island didn't exist, they couldn't find it, and they reported to the Mexican Congress that the island is not there anymore. Weirdly enough, a year passes and Mexican Interior Ministry publishes a book of Mexican islands, and there in this book, BERMEJA Island is still enlisted. What is happening there? Like, I doubt that the editors that are representing the government made a mistake or simply forgot that a year before there was an expedition that said that the island don't exist anymore. Now let's move a little bit forward, a little bit to the 2000s. This is the year where BERMEJA Island was a very hot topic in relation to some oil that was found there. And in this perspective, remember that BERMEJA Island is a very important point that makes these boundaries between US and Mexico, and then they discover it doesn't exist. But why is it so important? Well, let's talk about Hoyos de Dona. This is an oil field, an enormous oil field that was found there, and it was estimated to be like 22 million barrels. And this is where things get curious. This is where the speculations come. Crazy conspiracy theories, so just listen up. Now, the most curious thing, I think, is that according to the boundaries of the exclusive economic zone of the Gulf of Mexico, if BERMEJA Island exists, then this oil that was discovered there would go to Mexico. If BERMEJA doesn't exist, which is the situation right now because they didn't find it, then the boundary of US can expand and this would belong to US. And knowing that you're watching my channel and the topics that I am covering, I know what you're thinking, but wait a sec. We will get to that. We will get to the spicy things in the end. Don't scroll further. Listen to all of the story, okay? So we just have to look at it like with a cool mind. Is there any like real scientific explanation of the island being there and then disappearing? Let's look into that first. One of the most common explanations is that the island disappeared because of natural causes. I mean, the initial cartographers spotted it a long time ago. And since then, a lot of changes had happened geographically. And also like the ocean floor has changed a lot and the sea levels have risen. So it might have as well drowned and be like under the water. And of course, let's not forget that this is not that kind of island where you travel all the time. You don't have any business there. It's like a little tiny rock, reddish rock, and nobody just goes and checks it. So they saw it, they noted it, and they just left it there to be, and nobody went afterwards to check if it exists, I guess. I wouldn't say that I don't agree with that. This might have been the case. However, I also believe that since Mexico said it is a very important point for their economics in the ocean, it would have been noted if this point had disappeared, if you know what I mean. So, I don't know. In 2009, the National Autonomous University of Mexico conducted an extensive study on behalf of the Mexican Chamber of Deputies. They couldn't find BERMEJA either. They searched over 10,000 square kilometers at all altitudes from 40 to 4,000 meters and allegedly took almost 1,000 photographs. BERMEJA was gone. In fact, they said that there is a low possibility that in that location there ever existed an island. Honestly, at this point, I'm just wondering if there had been like any separate researchers, like divers doing any research over there, because usually when governmental institutions do any kind of researches, I don't necessarily always believe. So I believe like when independent people are doing the research. So I would love to see what's happening down there at the seabed from somebody who is like unbiased outside the government institutions, whether it's Mexican or the American. Just saying, you know, maybe there exists something, but I haven't found it. If you have found anything, write down in the comments. And now it's time for the spicy conspiracy theory. So there is actually one theory about, oh my God, it's so crazy. So, get this. It's alleged that CIA, under the task from the US government, blew up BERMEJA Island because it was very useful for them. As I mentioned, if BERMEJA Island existed, the oil that was found there would belong to Mexico. If it doesn't exist, which is the case, then the border of US extends and they get the oil. How beneficial. So I guess this is from where the conspiracy of CIA blowing up BERMEJA Island comes. And if you're saying that, oh my God, we would have noticed that something was blown up. I mean, there is technology available for them that we cannot even imagine, like that kind of level that we can see in sci-fi movies. And we already know that they have technology that can cause earthquakes wherever they want in the world. So why not have a technology that could simply blow up a little piece of rock unnoticed? To that one, I believe, if it really happened, I don't know, I would need some more proof. So this is the conspiracy theory. I don't know what you think, but let me tell you this. There was a Mexican senator who was really a fan of this conspiracy theory. He was speaking up about it very passionately, and at the end, he died in a car accident, mysteriously. So there's that. Make your own conclusions. But one thing is for sure, this situation with the boundary, it certainly stinks, and I am a little bit confused. I kind of tend to believe that it might have existed. Another explanation, of course, that would cause you less anxiety is that the island actually initially never really existed. That somebody spotted it in the 1500s and it was a mistake, maybe also a mirage or who knows. Put it on a map, and afterwards it was just simply copied from one map to another, and this is how it was created on the map. These kind of stories, they do happen. That's why they call them phantom islands. That's why I made also my previous video. Again, if you haven't seen that, watch it. And there is really a chance that all of this BERMEJA fuss is just a fuss around nothing, around like non-existent island. But if it existed, then we have a lot of questions. Now, this is the story of BERMEJA Island. Let me know what you think about it. How do you think, is the conspiracy theory true? Do you believe that maybe the island disappeared in natural causes? Or maybe you believe that it never existed at all? So, thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. That being said, I have a little announcement. As I mentioned 2 videos before, I'm going on a little vacation, and I guess, I'm not sure, maybe you're watching this video while I'm on the vacation. I'm not sure. But you will, I guess, know, because most probably I'm gonna put some kind of photos on the community section, so make sure you also check what I'm writing there. And yeah, I have a little like thing happening in my life. Nothing big is changing. Well, it actually is, but well, I don't know if I'm gonna tell you, but nothing's gonna change my channel and the way how I'm posting here. So I'm still gonna be here with all of those exciting stories that you like. And by the way, I'm so stoked that a lot of people from the US are actually watching my channel. I would have never thought that my videos will reach somebody from the US. And of course, I'm also glad to hear that Norwegians are watching and they are happy to hear the stories from Norway and Scandinavia. And like, I love everyone. From whatever country you're coming, you're very much welcome here. This is a really nice community we're having here. I love you so much. Enjoy your day. See you next time.